fascinating. After the break, I want to talk some more about that. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Dr. Swamy, you're talking to a number of temples and organizations here in Canada. The state of Hinduism outside of India, does it compare with the state of Hinduism inside of India?
In some ways, it's doing better than the state of Hinduism in India, because here we have modern minds who have come together, and now the literature that they are producing, the reinterpretation, the interpretation of our scriptures and so on, they're bringing out in glossy books. They're doing extremely well in that sense. But the globalization question that you raised earlier impacts Indians much more in the West, because you go through schools here for Indian children, then they come out talking like Americans and behaving like Americans, and that is something which suddenly the Indian families find very difficult to cope with. The dating system here, or the marriages, or the sanctity of marriages, and the way the parents count for their old age, etc. These things are some things which the Indians extremely unhappy. So they are therefore hoping that we will have religious institutions and become a part of the social life of the Hindus in this country, so that they can retain some of the good points of our religion, at the same time participate in the society here. So I think Hinduism here is flourishing, and I think the fact that there's a lot of effort being made to build magnificent temples here, yes, is having tremendous, profound impact in India. People are proud of the structures that have come up here. Of course, we are extremely also happy that the West is tolerant for this, and it's shown a great deal of. We can't build, for example, temples in Middle East. You can't even celebrate.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, in Saudi Arabia, you can't even celebrate your festivals. Even if you do it inside your house and they discover it, you pay heavy punishment. So I think this is one angle. The second is, many of the Indians came as indentured labor to West Indies, to South Africa, and so on. And they were so unhappy that the only way they could retain their sanity was to have this hold, this fanatical attachment to the religion. So in fact, in some ways, I find the Guyanese and the Trinidadians and the South Africans much more have much more fervor about Hinduism than I do, for example. And I'm impressed by their dedication. In fact, in Trinidad, in Guyana, I think, the British wouldn't allow them to build a temple on the main island.
Yes. And
they pointed out to a small island some kilometer away in the ocean and said, go and build it there. And then that too, when you're off work, you can do it, take leave and do it.
Yeah.
So people held stones in their mouth and swam across, and bit by bit they built it, and it's a monument of dedication. I'm really impressed with that.
The manner of worship here in North America, I imagine, is quite different. I mean, than it would be, let's say, in India.
No, they import our.
But we Sundays, for example, I think of that.
No, temples people go every day here, whenever they can. There's no hard and fast rule when you have to go. No. There's no mass, for example, like the Christians have, that you have to be on a Sunday. Hindus, there's no. It's a much more decentralized approach. You can choose the God you want to pray to, and you can choose the time of day you want to. But if you do want to become a spiritually evolved person, then the discipline gets stricter. But if you want to be a religious person, there's no hard and fast.
Now, you talked about the fact that in India there was a renewed interest in the fundamentals, the essence of the religion. Yes. Over here, is it the same, or are we still seeing weddings with cakes and white weddings and bridesmaids?
Yeah, here there's a little, they are a little defensive on being innovative on how to evaluate and interpret religious concepts. So they're a little more conservative in that sense than in terms of practices than back home. Back home we can experiment, and we can even have religious ceremonies through the television, which will be intolerable here.
Oh, really? Well, television is a wonderful medium. Yeah. I have to ask you, when you mentioned back home, we often hear stories of communal violence. I can't let you go away without asking about this. Particular places like Gujarat, the Ayodhya, the Ram Temple, and Babri Mosque.
Yeah.
Is this going to continue, or do you think this is come and gone?
No, it's going to continue because the basic flaw in our social engineering
Explain.
is being that since 1947 we haven't defined what is the Indian identity. What are we? For a long time, the Nehru family tried to propagate that we were a nation of warring states and the British put us together. So they may have done other damage, but this is a great legacy. That's not correct. That doesn't solve problems. It actually makes it worse in the sense then it means that you can, if you came together, you can fall asunder too. And the net result is that today there are 130 million Muslims who are being appealed to by terrorist forces, saying that your nationality is secondary, your religion is primary, and you have a job to convert the whole of India into Islam. So this is one aspect which troubles the Muslim, and we have at the same time there are growths in there are Hindu groups who are saying that Muslims are foreigners. You know, they got Pakistan. What the hell are they doing here? So we have to find a way by which the Muslim feels an equal partner in the nation building of the country, the Christian equal partner in the nation building of the country. Yes. Christians, we have much less problem. The problem is only with foreign missionaries. We don't have any other problem with the Christians.
So Kerala, the traditional Christians,
we have just no problem. I mean, we go to Christian schools, we have just no problems. I myself went to a Christian school, as I said before. The question therefore is this, and I have proposed in my book that we should regard India as an ancient nation of Hindus plus those others whose ancestors are Hindus, so that Muslims and Christians can claim equal right to the legacy of India as Hindus can. And privately Muslims accept that, and Christians of course easily accept that, and because it is a fact that 99.9% of the Christians and Muslims in India are people who converted at some point in history, and they didn't come from somewhere else.
So they're all Vedic people, so to speak.
They are all indigenous people. So they have as much claim to the past of India as we do. And the only problem is that these hardcore mullahs who are in madrasas, they are making it difficult, and they are have been encouraged.
That's crept into the Indian Muslim community now too, then, are you saying?
They are not, they put them on the defensive. You know, they...
Because I identify this with other nations, but India, typically the Muslim community has been fairly tranquil.
But you know, we have recent reports of the London bomb, Glasgow thing, where some Indians have participated with the Al-Qaeda, so we can't be complacent about it. The only way we can prevent and retain the Muslim independence from Al-Qaeda and others is to give them a sense of belonging within the country. Because if you don't, there will be other groups who will say, you're not really a fully Indian, you're a Muslim after all. You know, and then look what Osama bin Laden is saying, that for all Muslims, Hindus are enemies, Jews and Hindus are enemies. You know, this will be openly propagating that. So you have to have a counter for that. That's where I feel that this communal question gets out of hand. In Gujarat, what happened is 56 women and children were burnt alive in a railway bogie, and this let loose in anger, and I think the government perhaps may have been slow in responding. Some accuse them of being deliberately slow, but there's no evidence of that. I think I have been a minister, I have controlled some riots. If you move quickly, and if the police is itself infected, you move the army, and you can control it.
Well, after the break, I want to talk to you about one of your strengths, that is the relations with China, discussion of Pakistan, and the future of India.
Yeah, sure.
Please stay with us. We'll be back.